Good morning and welcome to Changing the World with God and with Good. Well, for about 5 or 10 minutes or so, I get to share with you God and share with you simple, universal kingdom principles and kingdom characteristics that God has inspired for the world, not for Christians, not for Muslims, not for Jews, not for blacks, not for whites, but for the world. And the words that I speak to you are not my own. I'm like Jesus of Nazareth, who came and spoke the words that our Father has given us for humanity. And the words that God has given to me, I share with you without religious bias, without ethnic bias, without national bias, political bias, or religious bias, because God's truths transcend religion. They transcend ethnicities. They transcend our nationalities. They transcend time. And they are just as applicable today as they were in the beginning when God first sent humans into the earth. And just for a moment, I want to talk with you from the subject, will you save your own life? Will you save your own life? And I want to talk because I was reminded as I was thinking about this not long ago, a statement that Jesus of Nazareth made. He in ministering to the people that he had the opportunity to engage in sharing with them what God had given to him to share, made the statement that whosoever will save his life will wind up losing his life. And whosoever will lose his life for his sake, in actuality, would be the one that winded up saving his own life. So today I ask you, will you save your own life? And I know that, it's my job. God has given me the ability through his spirit to explain some of the things that sometimes confound us and sometimes leads us into believing that a particular religion or a particular belief is God's will, and this is no different in thinking about Jesus' words and the fact that he said, "He that will lose his life for my sake is him that shall actually save his life." And so many of us would believe that in making the statement or adding the part of the phrase that for his sake meant that somehow he was separating himself and making it about him, as opposed to realizing that it was always about God. Many of us that have come to believe that Christianity is the way would use this verse to substantiate the fact that our lives and our works are to be to the glory of Jesus, as opposed to realizing that our work and our lives are to be to the glory of God. So Jesus used the statement for his sake, because you must also remember that Jesus also said that I come not to do mine own will, but the will of him who sent me. So if you are losing your life for his sake, then in actuality what he was saying was that you are losing your life for God's sake, because I come not to do mine own will, but the will of him who sent me. Plus, you must understand that in the region that Jesus ministered, the people that he had the opportunity to minister to, they thought that Judaism was the way. They thought that religion was the way. They believed that just because they were descendants of Abraham, that somehow that garnered them special favor with God, that garnered them a special relationship with God. So Jesus he often had to contrast himself from the religious right. He had to contrast himself from the Pharisees. He had to contrast himself from the religious people that he encountered. So he had to make the statement for my sake, to draw contrast, to let them know that no, he was not talking about losing your life for religion, but losing your life because I come not to do mine own will, but the will of him who sent me. Losing your life for him that sent him into the earth. So then my question becomes, will you lose your life to save your life? Or will you save your life in this earth and then lose it in the life that comes after this earth? Will you save your own life? And basically what Jesus was trying to impart into the hearts, into the minds of the people was, will you lose your own will in exchange for God's will? Will you lose your life and your idea that you know best and exchange that for God's will and recognizing that he knows best? And if you will exchange your will, if you will lose your life, your way, your thoughts, your ideas, and replace them with God's thoughts, God's ways, God's ideas, that in actuality, the loss of your own individual life on this side would result in saving your life on the other side. Will you lose your life to save your life? Will you sacrifice your will in exchange for God's will for you? And you must understand that God's will is about good defeating evil. God's will is about us embodying love. God's will is about us embodying peace, embodying mercy, embodying compassion. This is why Jesus was able to say that God would rather compassion than sacrifice. God's idea and his will is for us to embody tolerance, embody forgiveness. This is why Jesus also was able to say, forgive your brother that sins against you, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. God expects us to embody humility. He expects us to embody dependability. He expects us to embody honesty. See, this is God's will for humanity, and that will didn't just come into being when Jesus lived in the earth. It didn't just come into being 2,000 years ago. That has always been God's will for humanity. So what Jesus was trying to get those people to see, that it wasn't about religion, but it was about losing yourself in God's idea and God's will for humanity. And if you will lose yourself in God's will for you and for humanity, then in actuality, what you're doing is gaining your life. But if you will try to save your life to this earth, if you believe that this earth is your home, then what's going to happen is you're going to conform to this earth, and you're going to find yourself doing things and moving into places and situations to gain this world's riches. And we all know that when you start chasing after the world's riches, that the Bible tells us that the flesh is weak, but the spirit is willing. The spirit will try to constrain you and draw your attention to spiritual things. But when your idea and your eyes are focused on the wealth of this world and the things of this world, then it's just a matter of time before those ideas and those desires begin to move you into different places that the spirit might not have you to be. So again, will you lose your life, your will, your way, in exchange for God's will, his way for your life? And if you will, then what happens is you'll lose your life, but you'll gain and you'll save your life, even unto death. Even unto death, as God showed us in the life of Jesus of Nazareth. If you will lose your life, this is why Jesus was able to say, not my will be done. You know, certainly I don't want to die, but not my will be done. Certainly, you know, I would like to live a little bit longer in the earth, but not my will be done. And I will lose my life that I might gain life, because my kingdom is not of this earth. My home is not in this earth. My home is in heaven with God our Father. So I am willing to lay down my life, because I recognize that if I lose it, then I really gain it. If I lose it, then I really save it. But if I try to preserve it, then what happens is I work my way out of the will of God. And then I really work my way out of saving my life, because now I'm in a competition with God. My will versus his will. Whose will is going to be the bigger? But my question is, will you save your own life this day? Will you lose your life, even unto death, to save your life? And if you will, then you can shout hallelujah, because you know that By your fruits. God is looking down from heaven and he is saying about you, this is my beloved son, this is my beloved daughter whom I'm well pleased with. And you can be assured of hearing him say, when it's time for you to meet him in that heavenly place in the sky, well done, my good and faithful son. Well done, my good and faithful daughter. You have run the good race. You have fought the good fight. Now come on home and take your rest. Will you lose your life to save your life? Or are you busy saving it for the things of this earth, so much so that you're losing your real life? Will you save your life? That's the question. I love you. I thank you for tuning in. And until next time, goodbye.